What's going on, my creative collective? Welcome to your delayed but still present creative unconscious reading. We're going to dive in here. I spent yesterday doing some relaxing and just really taking in some rest. Yeah, the energy's been kind of intense, and it was just nice to disconnect and unplug to an extent yesterday, right? To an extent, and just let myself fall into, just fall into um, and outside of the expectations that even I set for myself, right? So um, it's really important, I think, to let yourself just be sometimes. And I had to resist the urge because I really wanted to put it out. I wanted to make this so bad, but I was like, no, I need the rest. I need to disconnect. And it was a good reflection on, on Charlie Day, and just the things that I had remembered from that. And I went for a hike on Friday on Charlie Day to the Niagara Glen, which you'll see footage of for the affirmations that I put out today. But it was really, I was walking through the old growth forest, and it was, if you go there and you go down those steps, if you're around Southern Ontario, if you cross the border and you're like, hey, I want to go for a huge hike, that's a great place to go. When you get to the bottom, go left because it'll weave around, right? You'll know what I mean if you see the huge steps. But I was walking through this forest and I just felt this language of immensity. And I just felt, I pulled out my earbuds and I was just thinking about the past 365 days and what I wanted next. And it was just this beautiful time of emptying, and then being refilled in different ways later. After I wrote a post on my Finding Hearts project about it, and I'm, beginning to get back into writing on there. So I'll put the link in the description below. So check that out if you want as well. But yeah, so the language of immensity and just how we emplace ourselves within, these just fantastic, these sort of fantastic records of our existence, and like the archive of our thriving, right? The archive of our thriving. Growth and plants and purity and ice. Yeah, I almost get this as like this sort of earthy element, right? Like these places where our light, where does the story of our lives, where does the story of our thriving go? Where does the story of us exist after it's all said and done, and after it's moved on and passed on? What lasts? Because I know none of this will. Like I have decks here, right? I have a little rose quartz, got a hematite. This stuff, it's like it was extracted from records, from stone, but then it will return to it. All of us will. So it might seem like this. It's this beauty of insignificance and realizing that we get to determine what matters next. We get to determine what comes to matter in our lives and of ourselves. So it's really just about stepping into that power and owning it, not from a place of selfishness or weird narcissism, but just stepping into that. And it's almost like this sort of growth that comes after a time of kind of, I don't want to say being frozen, but maybe, right? I wrote about a dark night of the soul that just, kind of put the lid on that recently. Well, like I would say end of 2020, beginning of 2020-ish, it started to, 2021. But it culminated, hi, Chicken Little. It culminated with my with transitioning. So it's just that sort of defrosting period. Like there's this sort of like shaking the dust off of our ideas or things that we want to see in the world. So I'm just gonna pull a couple cards. This may not be as long as my readings usually are for my creative unconscious ones. My friends are throwing a Charlie Day party today, so it kind of ended up being a Charlie weekend, which my friend said is as extra as I am, which is fabulous. Got to live up to that Leo, right? The Leo, honorary Leo. So, yeah. Language of immensity. Spirit, what additional messages do you have for my creative unconscious collective? 9 of Wands, 9 of Cups. High Priestess. Wow. Page of Swords. I really feel as though I think that where you are right now, this position that you're in is a little bit of hesitation, and you're being called to embrace all of the lessons that you've learned, right? And that's where I think this energy came up, and I really wanted to share with others. But it's this sort of embracing, I want to say embracing that your wishes are possible, embracing what is possible as opposed to hanging on to all the things that didn't work out, because there's something here that's going to blow your damn mind, right? And it's like, I think the release on this high priestess is like releasing expectations. It's releasing that it needs to look a specific way. It's releasing attachments, right? Releasing attachments. And the story of how the light gets in is this sort of beginner's mind of things. This is also a little bit of a sort of fresh energy. It could be like self-taught, right? There could be something that, like, a lot of the stuff that I've done is self-taught. I just decided that I wanted to do it and did it, right? I didn't wait for permission. And I think that could be an aspect of this here, but I feel like the story of how the light gets in here and moves through this sort of unconsciousness, this unconscious place, is like when you start to believe that something is possible, even if you don't have all the details, right? You have to release the details because you can't be in the details and in the juiciness of the manifestation as it's coming to fruition. It's just not possible because the details could snarl your energy. And I feel like the expectations, you're being called to release expectations big time, because sometimes what we expect, it's what comes is better, right? I've been on vacations or had days where I have no expectations, right? Of the party that my friends are throwing today. Like, I have no expectations of it. I'm just so excited to see them. I'm so excited to chat. And, there's going to be like a little photo booth that one of my friends is setting up because she's a delight. And it's like, these are the little things that are like, you can expect it to look a specific way, or you can leave room for the universe to blow your mind, right? And it's just allowing and being in a place of allowing and being in that mindset of things being new, which is why it helps to do things that shake up your routine, which is why it helps to do things that, are outside of your norm, because when you're in that mindset, you're also open. So it's like, it's a way for you to empower yourself by allowing, right? This Nine of Cups isn't just an accomplishment or wish fulfillment. It's that comes to you because you allow. That comes to you because there's an energy in you that's freed up. It's freed up. So I think that's what really is the story here that you're being called to move towards, or at the very least embrace. Okay. I was just told that this is the one I'm supposed to take from. So Spirit, can you clarify this for me here? I'm only supposed to do 2 on each. So I just heard 2 and 2. Okay. As in 2 and then a 2 down here. Spirit, what messages do you have to clarify this creative unconscious reading about, the language of immensity and how it speaks in so many different dialects to us and through us? So we have the Page of Wands and the Strength card, Hierophant, the Page of Swords again, yeah. King of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, 10 of Pentacles, 5 of Pentacles. Oh, but the Empress on the bottom, brilliant. Okay. Yeah, whenever I see the 5 of Pentacles, I like to see what is beyond it because it kind of tells a story and I want to get the bookending energy. So I broke the rules and I put 3, but I'm sure you're okay with it. So I feel like there is a lot of new energy, like fresh energy coming in here. Page of Wands tells me that there's a new approach that you have where you might have been carrying these wands. Like there might have been a way that you were doing things that was heavier than it needed to be. And maybe it was just, I'm hearing like it was admitting something to yourself, this Strength card, right? Like this innocence, it's like, and this isn't the meaning of the Strength card, but it's like, and it could be the Leo new moon too, where it's like you were admitting something to yourself about the way that you've been operating that allowed so much more energy to be freed up. And I almost get this sort of like what you put your faith in, like it frees up your ability to put your faith in what's possible, right? To embrace what's possible, to embrace the idea that your wishes could come true. It's not just like wistful thinking where you're off in the distance and it's like something actual and tangible. This is Taurus energy too. Could be a Taurus. Yeah. It's like it's coming through here where it's almost like while I was walking through the woods, I felt this laughter in the woods, and it just felt like the woods were chuckling while I was walking and contemplating, this way that we feel the immensity of where we are, and like we have to figure it all out now. And I just felt this punchline, like all of it's going to turn to dust, all of it. And it's not, being, morbid or anything like that. It's just, it felt like this cosmic punchline. Um, it felt like this cosmic punchline, right? And maybe we need to release the attachment collectively to this idea that it needs to look any other way than where we are right now. Because I think about climate and how it creates this sense of urgency, like we don't have time, right? When I dream for my life, I think to myself, well, if I dream, am I dreaming within the confines of what's possible, or am I dreaming in with the idea that pandemics can interrupt plans, or that extreme weather can have effects, and it's like, it's this idea of the unexpected. And like, I heard the word unprecedented so much in 2020. I was like, ugh, I need to, it's just, ugh, oh my god. It was rough. But it's like that sort of cosmic punchline that like life is going to continue going on regardless. Life is going to continue going on regardless. So when we make dreams for ourselves, it's like we can't attach to the expectation or outcome of it looking a specific way. And I think that we can only take in information about what feels good. It's like this, when we're in that beginner's place, when we're in that initiate and that learning capacity, that curiosity, it's like that's our best bet right now, because there's so much that we don't know. And if we look at what we don't know, it's going to be really hard for us to have any kind of faith in any system, regardless of whether it's, doctrine or whatever theology you believe in, right? It's going to be hard for us to have faith in anything, because anything can happen. And when that takes place, it sort of rocks the foundation. It rocks the foundation. And there could be information coming to you as well. Like, it could be information from a variety of different places. This tends to be like sort of internet based things, like web based things. But I think too that this is just there could be something that, when I think about that self-taught energy on this page, it's almost like the light kind of gets in this. They tell me a story of how these energies are related, right? So this page of swords, the light gets in, and it has a lot to do with what we place our faith in right now, what we place our faith in. And I know for, folks who are religious, this is, and specifically like to like Christianity and otherwise, it's like putting your faith in something specific like that is a no-brainer for you. But what I'm talking about is what you put your faith in every day, what you put your faith in, to like yourself. What kind of faith are you putting in your capacities, in your skill sets? How are you investing in that? How are you demonstrating a sense of self-care that threads really deeply? Like, how are you placing yourself in a system of believing that the world is a place where your dreams can still come true? Where are you putting yourself in? How are your energies allowed to thrive, and are you allowing yourself to thrive, right? And it's almost like I'm getting this as like limiting and being very cautious of what information is allowed to come in, because not all of it. I mean, we can't say, oh, the bad news is the bad news, so screw that, we're not going to listen to it. It's not about energy integration like that. It's not about avoidance. It's not about bypassing. This is about protecting your energy, because there's something about what's coming to fruition for you that is really beautiful. It's really beautiful. There's a lot that you can't see though. And that's, I see that coming up a lot in readings, and it's frustrating. I'm like, well, yeah, obviously. But the other thing too is that you have to, maybe sometimes you're going to surprise yourself a little bit here. You're going to surprise yourself with what you produce and what you create and bring into the world. And releasing attachments here, it's like when you know that everything, like when you repeat to yourself, all is well, all is well. That's a King of Pentacles mantra. That's a King of Pentacles affirmation, because it really is. You don't have to know how everything's going to come together, but you do know that you can handle everything. That's a King of Pentacles foundation. That's established. That is you having an authority over your life, because you have a depth of experience to know that it's not going to be sunshine and roses all the time, but you know that what comes you can handle. You know that what comes you can handle. And I think that's what it's like all of this love and there's all this love that you can give from that place of freed up attachments. And there's also all of this energy that you can now exchange. And I feel like Spirit is going to show you different signs. For me, it's hearts, right? Like that's my Finding Hearts project and my little tattoo here. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. But it's like, it's hearts. And I'll see them in like the most random places. I saw one on the trail when I went for a hike, and it was like painted on the rock. I was like, of what? Like, of all of the things, of all of the places. Um, but that's where it's about finding those signs that allow you to know and to exist without attachments. Because I will tell you, the times that I find the hearts always make me smile so huge. I end up smiling so huge because it's just that's where the juiciness is, where spirit surprises you with things that you can't imagine. Because again, it's like if you put your faith in the stuff, if you put your faith in the way things, like in things working out in a specific way, you will it's almost like it's like the kink in the hose, right? Like it's just like the water can't flow, your intuition can't flow because there's an attachment, right? There's an attachment. And it's not to say forget all attachments, don't have needs. No, 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 no. It's not about that. It's about releasing yourself from the confines of it has to happen in this specific way for me to know. And it's like you give spirit an ultimatum. And like as an Aquarius, you give me an ultimatum. We're going to test some assumptions, right? And that's not, I say that lovingly and jokingly, but it's one of those things where like ultimatums don't really serve anything because they're based in lack. Right? They're based in lack. And I joke about my being an Aquarius because fixed signs have a reputation of being stubborn, but it's just consistency, right? I like consistency more than anything else. But all of that aside, that's kind of what attachments are like. Like when you get attached to an outcome, it's like you're saying, like this, it has to come in this way. Or else what? Like you're going to hurt yourself by limiting your good and by insisting that it looks this way. Like we don't know. We just don't know. And there's something so wonderful about that, it is allowed to unfold in its own time. And I feel like that's where it's like this curiosity and this beginners, right? It's almost like it can be easy to slip into a place of feeling like you don't have, right? Feeling like you don't have the answers, like you don't have the key. But on either side of that thought, you're just a thought away from a 10 of Pentacles feeling. You're just a thought away from an Empress. These are birthing and long distance. Long distance? Nope, that's not what I meant to say. Interesting. I was going to say long term, long distance. All right. Long distance through time, I guess. I don't know. But it's like these are cards of bridging gaps. Like there's like, this is a legacy card. This is a long term card. And the Empress is the Empress is the coming together of that 10 of Pentacles, right? The Empress is like birthing a whole world. Birthing an entire world, right? Think about the epoch or era that you're going to give birth to with your ideas. If we're reduced to eventually a line in a rock, if we're reduced to a line in a rock, okay, what matters? What matters? Because stuff doesn't. And it seems so basic, right? Like what matters? What do you want to matter? That's the language of immensity that we're being asked to speak right now. And language of immensity, not in terms of turning ourselves into these towering monoliths or, or cliff sides and seeing ourselves there. The language of immensity is what cracks your heart open. It's what brings you to your knees in wonder and awe at the world around you. What is that? And move towards that or find ways to integrate it into your everyday. Because the language of immensity speaks in so many different dialects. I found it in moss. I found it in tree trunks that were massive. Because it's an old growth, Carolinian old growth forest at that Niagara Glen trail. I found it in tree trunks. I found it in moss. The cicadas. and it was just this, it was wonderful. In the rapids. But this language of immensity, because the way that you are able to translate that, so too you are able to speak it and understand that it is part of you from your very depth and marrow. So that's kind of a big deal right now. The language of immensity. So, Spirit, what messages do you have to close out this reading for my creative unconscious collective, please? Whoa. I can think my way out of fear. Yep. I think a lot of it is just perspective shifts, one step at a time. surrender it all. It seems a little prescriptive. Some good advice there. Surrender it all. And that's what this is about, right? The language of immensity speaks and whispers in surrender. So that, my friends, is your creative unconscious reading for the weekend of July 30th and 31st. So, yeah. Thank you so much for your eyes and your time, and wherever this finds you on the time-space continuum, morning, afternoon, or night, I hope it finds you very well, my darlings. Take care.